Salute Knicks Nation. Let's talk about this game as the Knicks drop their game in Houston, man, 97 to 109. Right, it was a little bit of a blowout at the end. It was obviously a lot closer, but the Knicks had their hands full in this one, man. I thought sloppiness early, slow start, having to fight their way back into this one. It was a physical affair. The referees were absolutely bugging in this one. Early in the game, they started to call the fouls, and the Knicks battled through the physicality. But late down the stretch, the Knicks could not generate solid offense against the Houston Rockets' swarming defense, who were physical tonight. Let's talk about it, guys. Lots to unpack with this one. But salute to the chat. Salute Replay Squad. Welcome in to the post-game live with CT. Do us a favor and smash that like button. The Knicks streets are buzzing. And we've got a couple of games to come up on the road still. We've got Atlanta, and then games get tougher. But the Knicks dropped one tonight, I felt, man, in Houston, right? We should have won this game. I was confident coming in, and a slow start, we didn't execute, right? But let's talk about some big efforts from OG Anunoby. Karl Anthony Towns battled through foul trouble, got on the glass, man. Absolute monster in this one was Cat, but picked up some silly fouls early, right? Had to deal with it. But 19 rebounds, 17 points. But defensively, man, had his hands full with Alfred Şengün. We'll talk about that matchup, guys. What did you see? Get your comments in. We've got AP, buzzer beater, coach in the building, and the many more coming through right now. Yeah, the Knicks, I mean, I really wanted revenge from last season. Obviously, the referees was the hot topic in that one, and Brunson came out aggressive. You could tell he was fired up in this one. But I think the Knicks were just careless in the first quarter. Slow offense, slow pace, too many turnovers hurt us, right, as a ball club in this one, right? Also, Tibbs, he went with Tyler Kolek, only 5 minutes in this one in the absence of Campaign, who hopefully isn't going to be out for too long. Campaign out with the hamstring strain, and Kolek got his chance, but didn't get many minutes. I thought he looked okay, but long story short, Tibbs went with Jericho Sims once again, and I think, the Houston Rockets did, go to that matchup a lot. Obviously, Şengün was a handful for everyone tonight, but I don't think Sims played great tonight, right? And there was a lot of Knicks that just didn't have their groove. Deuce McBride was another one, right? But I thought OG Anunoby, Josh Hart late, and Brunson obviously through stretches, but was inefficient, and the length was troubling him. But he got to the foul line 9 times as well. But I didn't like Brunson's shot selection late down the stretch. Salute Seth. Give us your thoughts on this one, guys. What did you think of the shot selection late? Right, I thought it was just a lazy game from the New York Knicks, right? Obviously, also have to highlight that the main guys didn't sit in the second half. OG, Brunson, Tibbs played those guys the entire second half, right? Bridges, 39 minutes. I mean, early in the season, right? Tibbs does not want to pick up a loss, right? So he's playing everyone all these minutes. But he should have trusted the bench a bit more. Hukporti, we're going to talk about the news later in the show tonight as well. Significant news that the Knicks have made roster moves now. Set to sign Matt Ryan tomorrow, or today if you're listening to this on Tuesday. But they've made moves to sign Errol Hukporti on a 2-year deal with the second year a team option. We'll talk about what that means for the future, because the Knicks are doing some cap maneuvering and all of that. So we'll clarify that and what it means for the squad, right? As the Knicks pick up their third loss of the season now, man, and we go to 2-3, right? Disappointing loss on this one. Like, Houston have talent, but I thought they were sloppy. They're usually undisciplined, the Houston Rockets, but the referees, man, they absolutely gave them a friendly whistle in that first half, man. I'm so heated in this game. I don't even want to look back and watch it again. But if I did, that first half is just going to make me more angry, because the referees were unprofessional in this one. I'm going to call them unprofessional, because there was a lot of hacking and whacking that weren't called, guys. What did you think? Ryan says, crazy getting handicapped by the refs. Yeah, I mean, Another night, another year, man. Brunson, second team All NBA, an All Star, superstar now in many people's eyes, MVP candidate, top five, not getting a respectful whistle, man. There was plays where, Fred Van Vliet, man, hand was all up in his jersey, you know. Josh Hart pleading to the officials, he had my jersey as well. I mean, unprofessional performance from the referees, right? But the New York Knicks didn't help themselves on this one tonight. Low key, what's up says, what's up with the refs tonight? Sandman says, sup, bro. I feel like JB is playing with an injury. Some of his shots have no lift. Yeah, look, I'm going to wait to, obviously see a bit more. But yeah, JB obviously found his groove last couple games. But tonight, yeah, I think looked a little lethargic. Maybe the 870, the 845 tip had something to do with it, fam. What do you guys think? Buzzer with a great question. Why didn't we collapse on the post when Sengun was killing us? I agree with you, man. Ideally, I would have liked to collapse on Sengun and then trust that those shooters, many of them are non-shooters as well. So I agree with you on that, man. That would have been a part of my scouting report, Amen Thompson is not a shooter. Tari Eason, not a shooter. And credit to friend Van Vliet, he hit the shots. Jalen Green as well. Credit to the Houston Rockets shot makers, fam. They hit the shots when it counted, but the game was a lot closer than the scoreboard suggests, One possession game, basically up until about the 2-minute mark. Once Brunson couldn't convert. I just thought, of all else, fam, Brunson's decision making was poor tonight. What did you guys think? He was passing up shots. He was hesitant. And I get it, the length, the physicality. When you're not getting any calls, you're like, do I drive? What should I do, fam? But the shot was pretty good. The shot was fallen. And so I don't know why. I mean, the 3-point shot, he should have started to just hoist a couple of threes. Just to, that's how you really get the defense to open up on you, fam. Tonight, man, 27 3-point attempts for a New York Knicks team. That's not enough, fam. Right. That's probably my biggest takeaway, fam. Not the loss. Obviously the poor refereeing. We're going to talk about it tonight, fam. But once again, the New York Knicks come in, one of the best shooting teams in the NBA, and we only get up 27 attempts tonight, man. I think we have ourselves to blame in this one. This is a self-inflicted loss because we're shooting so well from three. You just can't come in shooting 27 threes. You need to be shooting more. Man, this is the new NBA. We get up 35 threes tonight, and we probably give ourselves an excellent chance to win. We get up 40 threes tonight, and I'm willing to bet there's an 80% chance we win if we get up 40 threes tonight. 27 threes, it's not enough, man. It just ain't enough, man. It's been the topic around the world for the last week or two. The Knicks need to shoot more threes. And we just didn't tonight. But OG Anunoby, man, where would we be without him in the first half? OG Anunoby in the first half was sensational, man. The best Knick tonight, I feel. Out of all the starters, man, he had the best -2. We're going to give out some flowers to OG, but let's just look at the team stats. What sticks out to you, fam? Get on my level, says Tibbs running Brunson to the ground. He's not trusting his bench a little more. Listen, the calls were favouring the Rockets. Yeah. Good call. Definitely, I agree with you. All of that, fam. We've got some fire Tibbs comments as well from AP. I mean, yeah, last game, draw some criticism for keeping Cat in the ball game. But yeah, it's tough because no campaign tonight for the first game. So you're like, okay, what does it look like? Everyone was keen to see what we look like without campaign. I thought Kolek looked fine in those 5 minutes, but he looked a little, hesitant at times. But he's a pass-first kind of point guard. Look, obviously at times there was great ball movement. The New York Knicks scored 97 points tonight, and I think it's our first game scoring less than 100 points. Right, but the calls in the Houston Rockets defense was fairly solid, but we bailed them out, man. Early turnovers hurt us, and look, we just didn't capitalize on a very young I think, very chippy physical team, but they're undisciplined. And I think we just needed to, you know, capitalize on that, by shooting threes early, driving and dishing, right, and playing faster as well. I felt like we played too slow tonight. Coach says I put this loss on Brunson and Cat. Yeah, that's fair, man. The leaders, the two big dogs of the squad, and I think Tibbs as well, right? If you're going to go down, at least let those guys get a bit of a breather so that they can come back and give you their best effort, you know? When you play these guys the whole second half, they're going to fall short, like the chat said, some of these shots, um, they're just simply gassed as well. But look, I thought Josh Hart was sensational too. He battled. The box score, doesn't suggest that he had a huge game, but he showed a lot of heart tonight, Lion Hart. I liked Hart's performance, typical Hart performance. When they're trying to get at you, they're playing, the other team's trying to, play some dirty tactics. That brings out the best in Josh Hart. But he picked up a technical tonight. So the first New York Knicks with their first technical foul of the season was Josh Hart, man. And I really felt like another night Tibbs didn't use a challenge call. So that's going to reflect in Tibbs' grade tonight. But I also wanted Tibbs to maybe take a technical, And if you guys remember, man, what makes me more angry is we cast our mind back a year ago and the New York Knicks protested the result in vain to the loss in Houston. And we got the same garbage again tonight, man, from the referees, right? And it was up to Josh Hart to take a technical tonight. I mean, yeah, the referees were atrocious, Sandman, too. But look, Sengun, he's been the Rockets' best player over the last 12 months. Fred VanVleet has been struggling with his shot. And of course, typically, he finds his shot against us as well. You can't make this up. But look, as a whole, I think the Knicks played two good quarters, and once again, that's just not going to get it done. I think if we played 3 good quarters, we probably win this ball game. But you just can't keep trying to play catch up. You can't keep trying to play catch up because it's just going to take a lot out of the tank. 718 Fresh says the game was fixed. I mean, certainly with the rife betting, and the accessibility to gambling right now, man. I mean, don't need to say anything more about it. I think, there's evidence in the past, and I think, man, if I watch this game again, you could pick up a lot of things. I mean, yeah, the 3-point shooting attempt should have gotten up. Nick P says refs gave them the game. They were allowed to be physical. Yeah, we got no call. Yeah. Ryan says, Yal can't cheat this bad. Heart to the referees. I mean, we tried to match that physicality, but when, we were just getting called with soft fouls, like Cat picking up early foul trouble. But he was one of OG's great plays, found Brunson for the 3. But yeah, guys, like I said, if we jacked more threes, we could have had a great chance to win. 97 points is not going to cut it, right? So we needed to find more offense tonight, right? I thought at times our defense was fine. Houston Rockets, they're not any world beaters. I think they hit their open looks. Sengun in the post, made everything kind of collapse a bit, and we were worried about him. But look, I thought Cat played him well straight up. You just tip your cap to better offense when it comes to Sengun on that matchup. But yeah, Dylan the villain, man. Dylan Brooks, one of the dirtiest players you'll see, man. Absolutely grabbing guys' jerseys, fouling you, mugging you in broad daylight, man. Some of the fouls Dylan Brooks gives, man, is a crime on the streets, man. They call it assault. But yeah, JB at one point smacked his face planted on the hardwood. JB, man, he went through it tonight. He was getting banged up. He was getting hit. He was getting mugged like a UFC fighter, man. But he battled. But yeah, not one of Brunson's finest performances, man. I thought this was a game where Carl Anthony Towns probably showed me the most kind of heart and hustle. What did you guys think? Yes, there were some of those fouls, but a lot of them were ticky tack. Um, but he was also getting fouled a lot himself, and he was battling through it physically wise. And I thought Cat showed me some heart tonight. Richard says the refs were straight up cheating. Yeah, Cat needs to get more threes up. Buzzer says facts. You're right. CT having to come back does wear you down as a team. Yeah, I think what I'm learning more about, each game that I watch, and I learn something new every time, man. But with this team, we have a tendency to analyze the finishes of the ball games, but a lot of these games are just lost in the first half. It's a 4-quarter game. It's not a 1-quarter game, and so you can't keep falling into a hole. You need to come out ready. And I don't think the Knicks were ready tonight. If you compare Detroit's first quarter and the start of that game, where the Knicks came out, playing the best basketball of the year, compared to tonight, we just weren't ready. 8:45 tip on the West Coast, 8:45 Eastern time tip, but playing on the West Coast, I think it was just a funky kind of night, and the Knicks weren't ready straight out. Um, so let's give the officials a grade. Let's give Tibbs a grade, fam. Let's give out all these players a grade. Try to pick some positives, but let's move on, man, to ATL now. The Knicks can get back to 500 again, beating ATL. They've been an up and down team as well, so we need to capitalize on that. But yeah, look, Houston Rockets, there's no doubt they've got a bright future. They've got depth. I thought Thompson played a good game. Amen, Thompson. And I thought, of course, like Fred Van Vliet, I mean, he always gets up to play against you. But I thought the Knicks would have been screwed without OG Anunoby tonight. And I didn't like the Jericho Sims minutes. I did think that was tough parts of the game. Kolek didn't play enough to really impact the game the other way. Also, yeah, Tibbs' rotations were suspect as well. Keeping guys in for the entire second half. I think they were just too gassed by the end. Early part of the season, it's one of the reasons why you've got to trust some of your guys. Even if it's Daddy A for 3 minutes. Hukporti, of course. We're going to talk about him as well. So, yeah, straight up, let's just give the first grade of the night, man, to the NBA officials. Right, let's give the first grade for the NBA officials. Let me pull up their graphic for the officials, man, because I've got them here. I've got them here still. We already know what this one's going to be, fam, but nonetheless, I'm going to bring it up. The officials get their F tonight, man. It was blatant. It was heinous. It was ridiculous. And we can't continue to see games officiated this way, man. I hope the Knicks write to the NBA again, and I probably think that they will. The Knicks. It's widely reported that the Knicks had written to the NBA several times last season. I think more than one occasion, and I think obviously one of them was after the Houston game. Where we were screwed by the final call. But it wasn't just that final call. That final call overshadowed the rest of that game. It was a really badly officiated game. But tonight we saw the exact same thing, maybe even worse. Man, it was crazy, man. Lawrence Cole says Brunson went nut. He did, man. Yeah. Fire and desire coming out of these guys, and they're usually cool, calm. I would have wanted someone else to get a technical. I mean, who else is going to step up in that moment but Josh Hart? Right. And with that said, let's start with our first player grade, fam, and then we'll give out for Tibbs. But let's start with the Lionheart, man. Shout out to Josh Hart for picking up a technical, man. I got no problem with that. Like I said, at one point I want Tibbs to really pick up a technical. because it was just crazy tonight, man. The non-calls on these Knicks, the double standard, basically the physicality that Houston were able to apply wasn't the same way the other way around. But Hart was 4 of 9, missed a couple of wide open threes, but passed up on a couple that he ended up finding a guy. So he got 7 assists tonight, 1 steal, 4 rebounds, and 1 turnover. But minus 17. Obviously, the starters struggled, and 12 points from Hart. So tonight was more so his physicality, his energy, his heart that he showed was the best thing. But he showed some nice savvy play, getting the ball up the court fast to get Cat a fast break dunk as well. That was pleasing. Being patient as well, not just settling for that shot, but finding a better shot. I think that did pay off at times as well. But look, yeah, outside of that, I think one thing to really highlight is that Hart only picked up 4 rebounds. And so that kind of lets you know that as a team, I mean, when Hart plays 37 minutes, sorry, and he only gets you 4 rebounds, that tells you that the New York Knicks had their hands full, man. Yeah, but granted, Cat was gobbling up a lot of the rebounds as well. So, but it's tough. It's tough with this one. So I like Hart's energy and effort tonight. So with that said, his grade is coming up right now. Let me know your thoughts. What do you want to give for Josh Hart tonight? Frustrating loss, and the New York Knicks should have really picked this one up. I think we started slow, but it was a bit of a mixed bag for Hart. So I'm going to go B minus for Josh Hart tonight, man. I think he was one of the better starters, but a B minus lets us know that still just not enough to get it done. Look, early in the season, so yeah, in the grand scheme of things, this loss isn't something that I'm going to stew on very long, and it's not something I'm going to worry about. But I don't want to see this as a trend in terms of us just taking teams too lightly. I think we need to come out, especially on the road, with that killer's mentality. When you are the hunted now, you need to come out with that killer's mentality. And the New York Knicks certainly, I don't feel like had that to start the ball game as well. I think obviously the refs, we're gonna continue to talk about them, but if we had matched Houston's physicality early, I think we would have not gotten into a deeper hole than we were. We wouldn't have had to fight all our way back. So next up, we're gonna hit on OG Anunoby, right? He was our best Nick tonight, man. 7 of 14. Really pleasing start to the season for OG's offense. 5 of 6 from deep tonight was the standout, right? 83% from 3, right? On a night where we only shot 27 threes, right? Should have shot more, but 6 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks for my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. OG Anunoby has been outstanding on the defensive side tonight. Another night with 3 stocks, 21 points, and was only a -2 in 39 minutes, man. So 7 of 14 as well. Perfect efficiency from the field. Lawrence has gone with the C+ for Hart as well. Appreciate the grade coming through, guys. Continue to let us know your thoughts, right? For OG Anunoby, man, where would we be without him? I think the shooting performance, all of that, outstanding. But he's a one-man, well, he's not a one-man band. The team needs to be better. But OG can hold his head up high tonight despite the loss. I thought there's not much more he could have done from my perspective. Hit those open shots. He was aggressive driving. I just think the Houston Rockets did well collapsing on all of our drives, and then we kicked it back out, and we were a bit hesitant with the other guys shooting. But yeah, I think the fact that this only came down to the last couple of minutes still let us know that this team has the fight, that they're never out of the ball game, despite the referees, despite the adversity as well, and down a couple of bodies. Because, I mean, This isn't going to get very widely talked about because we still have all of our main players, but we are missing a number of guys. Precious Achua, Mitchell Robinson, Cameron Payne, Landry Shamet just goes down. Man, that's 4 guys that would have been in our rotation missing tonight as well. So whilst a lot of these other teams using excuses, Embiid, load management, and obviously the Milwaukee Bucks and all of these other teams missing players, the New York Knicks don't use that as an excuse, man. But respectfully, we do have about four guys that would be in our rotation that are out right now. But Kolek comes in and he stepped up today, but Tibbs just didn't want to play anyone else, right? Let's talk about Cat. How did you see the big Cats game tonight, man? The Black Cat Panther. As Seth's gone with the A- for OG. That's a good grade. Deuce McBride struggled tonight, fresh. Yeah, we're going to talk about Deuce. I think it was an outlier, but obviously Deuce has been shooting really well. He just didn't look like himself tonight. Maybe he wasn't at 100%. But with Cat, 7 of 17, but 0 of 2 from deep. Again, another night where he only put up 2 threes. So we got to get that up, fam. But 19 rebounds, you got to salute that. I mean, you got to salute 9 offensive rebounds from Cat, right? I mean, he was snatching those rebounds off everyone. So, like I said before, I think Cat showed, to me, the most heart that he showed in his early Knicks tenure tonight, despite all the poor officiating, and he was getting fouled a lot as well, and he was getting simple ticky-tack fouls called on him. But 17 points minus 23 for Cat. He was definitely battling and struggling on the defensive side on the 1v1 coverage. But when you're in foul trouble, that's a handicap. But for the rebounding, for the battling through that foul trouble, and not picking up another foul after he picked up his 4th foul, he basically didn't pick up another foul for the rest of the second half. So he's learning to defend, I think, in foul trouble better. So for me, minus 23 though for the big Cat. So could have got up more threes. My grade for Karl Anthony Towns tonight is going to be a C plus. I love the heart, the energy, the defensive glass and the offensive glass, but could have got up more threes, and foul trouble did hurt as well. It didn't allow him to be as physical, obviously guarding Sengun. Jay Dragon saying no excuse in the refs, you adapt, you overcome. I think that's a good mindset to have, but the reality is the refs did, affect this ball game. I feel the refs did affect the ball game, but we had a chance to win still. So, like I said, I did blame us. I think it's a self-inflicted loss. I think if we'd come out better in the first half, I think we really would have taken this one. But yeah, it's a hungry league where you can't give teams that feeling good at the start. You can't give them that sniff. You need to come out in Houston and absolutely put the beat down on them early and establish yourself as an NBA championship contender. And I think the New York Knicks are just kind of coasting right now, early in the season. And I don't think we're even in 4th gear right now. To start games. I feel like we're just waiting to see what the opponent does, and then we start to pick things up. But you got to come out and you got to show that fight straight off, I think. So yeah, continue to give out your grades with me, fam. We're rocking out with the best chat in the biz. Tough night, bad loss for the New York Knicks, but we'll bounce back and we'll respond, I think, in ATL and go back to 500, I feel. The Knicks were definitely fired up after that altercation with Hart and the referees, and we showed a lot of fight tonight. But the early hole, and I think Houston's aggression was a tough thing to overcome in this one. But next up, Mikal Bridges. right, has been shooting the basketball well since Boston, which is pleasing. Bridges 6 of 13, 3 of 7 from distance, 42%. Man, how do we not get this guy more shots? Right, that's up to Brunson. But 3 rebounds, 1 steal, but 4 turnovers today from Mikal Bridges was tough, man. 15 points and minus 18 for Bridges, but 39 minutes. So, he's definitely the Iron Man, and he's having to prove that again with the New York Knicks, playing almost 40 minutes tonight. We should have got him a breather, like I said. Shez Vs is coasting. Yeah, it does feel like they are still filling each other out. Yeah, I feel like it's more so that we know pound for pound on paper, we know we're better than the opponent, but we don't come out with I don't think respecting the opponent as much as we can, and playing as hard as we can early. That's just my opinion. I feel like, yeah, early ball movement's great, but you got to come out aggressive and get good shots early in the shot clock. One other thing about Tibbs's offense, and this is just a bigger picture kind of thing, guys, is that obviously the whole Tibbs's pace and the read and react offense, we are one of the slowest teams in the NBA at getting into our offense, and it usually results in a tough shot. The longer Brunson is able to be on the ball, reject a couple of screens, get back downhill, kick it back out, we are having to eat up a lot of shots on the shot clock. Whereas if you watch Boston a lot, it's you get your first great look and you take it. You get that look early and you jack up the 3, or you drive and you kick, and you play faster. You get more possessions as well. But yeah, I think we are starting pretty slow right now. I think it should be a lot more Cat Brunson pick and roll. Clear everybody out, get the shooters in the corner, go to work. Cat down low, high low action, and Brunson pick and roll, pick and pop. That's our best weapon. Just go to it more. You're also going to get Cat's 3-point attempts up a lot more if we do that. So let us know what you guys think about that. That's just one of my early critiques of the season. I mean, we're coming into tonight as a 500 team, so it's not like we're a bad team at all. But I just feel like our offense is a little slow at times, and we're not utilizing our best weapons. So for Mikal Bridges tonight, let us know what you give. But I'm going to go with a grade as the same as Josh Hart. Really efficient shooting, but had some struggles, as most of the starters did. B- for Mikal Bridges tonight. Fresh as Knicks came out slow and drained. I knew it was over from the first. One thing is, yeah, there are certain schedule losses, where the other team just suffers a horrific defeat the game before, and they just come out hell bent. And I think the Houston Rockets lost their last game in a really, really bad way, and they just came out hell bent tonight. Just let us know your thoughts, guys, but remember, keep it respectful and keep it civil in the chat. Right, you guys know what it is by now. You can agree to disagree, but just keep it civil. Rico says Brunson was getting hacked like this was a game in Pelican Bay. Yeah, I agree. I think he's learning to deal with, still learning to deal with different games, different officiatings, but at the end of the day, like people say, you just got to play through it. I mean, you can't really do much more than that. And without further ado, we need to give Brunson a grade tonight. So JB was 9 of 24, 2 of 4 from 3, got to the free throw line 9 times. So I think that's a clever thing that the referees do. They call a really lopsided whistle in one half, and then they even it back out. And so that you look at the box score and it's like, oh yeah, it looks normal. But if you watch the ball game, I think they were getting away with a lot of physicality. But yeah, I didn't like Brunson's shot selection late. I thought he was great when he made quick decisions, and he fired the three. That's fine, live and die with the miss. I trust JB getting good looks from distance, Another night, shoots 50% from three, right? He had a lot more wide open looks that he should have taken as well. Once he was surveying and he got to the paint and then he, came into the trees and he kicked it back out or he dribbled it back out, there was just too much uncertainty at that point. I think we need to play faster West Coast basketball against these kinds of teams and get more possessions. We're a better offensive team than them, right? There's just no question about it. If you aim to get more shot attempts than the other team and you know that you're a better offense, you should trust that you're going to win the game, But yeah, we were hunting great shots and passing up good shots, and we suffered the price tonight. So I think the captain needs to wear that as well. So to a certain degree, I'm going to go for Brunson's grade tonight. Man, and I do grade Brunson a lot harder, like I said, for those that aren't aware. I do like to grade Brunson a lot harder as a leader, but also as a guy where the offense runs through him. So the success of other guys is also at times riding on the decision making of Brunson. So I'm going to go with a C plus tonight. I'm going to go with a C plus for the captain, Jalen Brunson. Right, love him getting to the line, and also like the 3-point attempts, but he just didn't make good enough decisions and quick enough decisions for me. But like I said, he also battled through severe adversity with the hacking, the whacking, and the foul calls, and all of those things. So now Tibbs, actually, yes. Before we move on to the bench, and we've got a lot to talk about with the Knicks roster moves coming up. So stay tuned, stick with us, fam, and smash that like button. Replay squad. The season's just beginning still, and the Knicks are figuring things out. But yeah, we learned a hard lesson today that you have to start better on the West Coast and get into a good groove. But Tom Thibodeau tonight, what are your thoughts on the shortened rotation? What are your thoughts on his, playing guys the entire second half? And his decision with Jericho Sims and Tibbs' decision with Tyler Kolek only playing 5 minutes. I'd love to get your thoughts on it, fam. Fresh says Houston's easy calls, refs dictated the game for much of the start. 100% they did. Abdul says, when can Matt Ryan play for us? We need his shooting. We'll talk about that in a sec, fam, but it looks like Ryan is going to get signed tomorrow. By November 5th, the Knicks have to fill their final roster spot. So it looks like that'll be official tomorrow. And as for when he'll play, I think he'll need to practice a little before Tibbs throws him out there. So yeah, with Tibbs, man, I didn't like the decision to not give those guys a rest early in the fourth, just so that they're a bit more fresh, right? Also, the offense. We need to get these threes up. He needs to figure a way to utilize Cat Brunson better on the offensive side, and work all these weapons, together. Now, the Knicks are one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league, percentage-wise. I think we were top 3 coming into tonight. But the unfortunate thing is, at times, we're not shooting enough. And so the slow pace, the read and react offense is somewhat limiting, I think, our talent. Right? It's limiting our offensive talent to a certain degree. Right? So I think we need to play a lot faster with that and get more shots up. Right? But in terms of playing Jericho Sims, right? Let's see if he switches things up, right? I get it. He went back to Sims after that Hukporti game. It was kind of a little puzzling for me why he randomly played Hukporti like real minutes. to get a look at him and then go all the way back to Jericho Sims again. And then today, the Knicks sign Hukporti to an official roster spot for 2 years now, which is great. And obviously, he's a part of the future. Hopefully, he gets a chance soon. But right now, Jericho Sims is Tibbs' guy, and he's going with that. And I think Sims had some struggles. I think let's look at Sims' numbers real quick, right? Sims got 4 rebounds, but 4 fouls in 15 minutes as well. So he had his hands full. But yeah, I really feel like Tibbs has got to be willing to switch things up when Jericho's not playing well, right? It's one thing to go. It's one thing to go to Jericho, but if it's not working out well, what does he do to adjust? Tibbs has got to adjust. And also, we started slow tonight, man. So with that said, and the decisions in mind, I'm going to go Tibbs' grade tonight. I'm bringing the wrath, man. I'm going with a D for Thomas Thibodeau in this one. I think, yeah, we need to see better. Gaston guys out in the second half, right? This is a ongoing thing to watch with this club, right? Hart, we can't have him banged up. We can't have him picking up longer term injuries, or God forbid something happened to one of these other guys. OG Anunoby, isn't the most durable kind of player. So we need to protect these guys, and I don't think he's making smarter decisions with that. It's early in the season. If you're going to lose, trust your guys, I think trust your bench a bit more, fam. Now, with that said, let's talk about some of these roster moves now and the Knicks depth picture. We're going to give out a grade for Deuce McBride. Man, his worst game of the season. I don't know if he left his game in New York, but just Deuce wasn't himself tonight. But basically, Matt Ryan, Ariel Hukporti, man, welcome to the squads officially. Congratulations for Hukporti, right? Got the deal signed. First reported by Shams. So let me bring that up right now. Shout out to him. And I know Buzzer had some roster questions, so yeah, let us know your thoughts. So basically, the New York Knicks, by league rules, needed to fulfill the 14 roster spots by tomorrow. So the Knicks had to do this. So the Knicks have added Ariel Hukporti to the real roster now, signed a 2-year deal. The second year is a team option. Well, so next year is the team option. This year counts as his first year of the deal, right? The deal starts for right now, the 2 years as well. So, look, well deserved. I think we've all agreed that we all see flashes. He should see more time, hopefully sooner rather than later. Hukporti's Hive is banging online. We see the potential, and he's been working hard in practice. He's a great character guy as well, from what I hear, what I've seen. Ariel Hukporti, good piece for the future. Hopefully, this is the start of something major, man. I think he plays with an edge. He plays with that kind of physicality that you see with Randall's game, like I tweeted out here. And he brings a bit more of intangibles, I think, that we miss from Isaiah Hartenstein as well. Now, I acknowledge he's extremely raw right now, or a little raw, I think, in terms of playing major minutes. But young players do have a tendency to pick up fouls and make some boneheaded plays at times. But I think as a whole, I think he's the better option to be playing as the backup center spot. His size, his physicality, his rebounding, and I think his processing of the game is good enough to impact ball games. And so for the Knicks, right, what they're going to do is, and this was outlaid quite well by Keith Smith. Let me break this down for you all, just so you're not surprised when you see the Knicks decline his second year. So the Knicks have given Hukporti a 2-year deal with the second year a team option. Now, it's very likely that the Knicks will decline the second year of Hukporti's deal, but for good reasons, right? Because it's beneficial to be able to re-sign him for a longer term deal as a restricted free agent. If the Knicks were to let Hukporti's 2-year deal expire, he'll become an unrestricted free agent, and it's open slather for another team, to come in and poach Hukporti in the future as well. We don't want that happening, of course, especially if he plays well. And so what's going to happen is, as a product of the CBA, if you decline your own player's second-year option, you make them a restricted free agent, which means you have their rights and you can then offer them a longer-term deal as a restricted free agent. You have basically first dibs. So just for everyone out there, if you do hear in the future the Knicks decline Hukporti's second year, it's so that they can offer him a longer term deal as well. So it looks like it's a smart maneuvering once again by the New York Knicks front office. The second major move announced today by reports, though not by the team, but by reports tomorrow, Matt Ryan has agreed to sign with the Knicks, but the structure of the deal is yet to be confirmed. So it could either be a two-way or it could be the final 14th roster spot for now. It doesn't really matter which one it is, because I think the Knicks' long-term goal is to be able to get him and to get Landry Shamet back on the roster when he's ready. So basically the Knicks can have Hukporti and Matt Ryan right now, and they will be able to bring in another guy, which is Landry Shamet, in due course, which is most likely going to be around the February 24 time. As Keith Smith also mentioned here. So basically by February 24, the prorated salary for Landry Shamet is $590K, and the Knicks will be able to fit that under the second apron when February 24 comes. And so that's great for that 15th roster spot. So the Knicks will be looking to fill 14 spots by tomorrow, and then some point in February, if they haven't made a trade already as well. So let us know your thoughts on that, fam. Brian says Tibbs wants the rotation to battle it out. I get it. Can throw the game out there, can lose a game throwing out a cold big out there with time ticking down. I think, early in the game is when he usually decides to switch things up for the second half. But I don't think Sims had a very good first half. And so wasn't sure if he was going to switch it up with cat and foul trouble. But look, moving on from next game, we'll see now with Hukporti on the main roster, there's no limitations, which is great in terms of minutes being able to be played with that two-way contract. But Kolek, I'm happy for the man. He got a chance. Tibbs says, I really like him a lot. I think he's learning like most of our young guys coming into the league. He's a gym rat. Works extremely hard, puts in a lot of time to film study, extra work, practice. All around, he's been really, he's around really good veterans. That helps him move it along in terms of how fast you can learn as well. So, look, great quotes to hear. And look, Tibbs, it's clear that he does love Tyler Kolek and, is willing to play the man. I don't think he played him enough tonight. Would have loved to see him give Brunson a bit of a spell. I mean, Kolek hit his open three. So let's start with Kolek. Grade. Continues to shoot the three ball. Open shot. He'll fire away with confidence. I like that in the neophyte as well. Defensively, I don't really see much that hurt us tonight in this game specifically in his 5 minutes. I think, just the way the game was going, we were trying to climb an uphill battle. And so Tibbs rocked with the veterans, that got us back into the ball game. So I get it. But I really feel like, you could have stole a couple of minutes to get Brunson a rest so that he was more fresh down the stretch, because, a lot of those shots fell up quite short. But for Kolek, man, this is the start of something, This is just the start of something new and major moving forward. I think Campaign might be out a couple games at least, hamstrings are pretty tricky with that said. So very small sample size, but Happy for Kolek to get his opportunity tonight. So I'm going to give Tyler Kolek a C+ for his performance tonight. Hit his open 3, but yeah, didn't play enough to really factor into the ball game either way. Now let's talk about Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride, worst game in a minute for memory, 0 of 9 and 0 of 5 from deep, man. Deuce just swishes a couple of those shots, and we're looking at a very, very different result tonight. But he's been on a tear recently. He's been one of our best players all the way since pre-season. He's been a standout, but he had a stinker tonight. Did Deuce, man. So it's funny, he was so inefficient, but he was still a part of big runs, being a +10 in a plus-minus as well. So that was significant. Jericho Sims was a +14, right? But again, Jericho didn't play that many minutes. But Deuce, man, inefficient. Let's talk about him and his grade. Let us know your thoughts, fam. What did you see from Deuce McBride tonight, man? Definitely impacts the game in other ways, not just his shooting and his scoring. I mean, he's still a great defender out there and impacts the game in other ways. There's Deuce, but look, obviously, when you go 0 of 9, it's really eating up a lot of possessions, and it's hurting you. So I'm going to go a C tonight. Not going to go too hard on Deuce, but definitely I feel like this is just that outlier that, maybe every 10 games a player will have a down night where it's just not falling. The ball just can't go in. So next up, let's talk about Jericho. Jericho Sims in his 15 minutes, I think, the worst thing tonight was just his foul trouble. And, a couple of possessions getting lost on the guy, and slower reaction times, I think, is something that's been a theme with Jericho. Right, you could see him battling, you could see him trying, you could see him, putting in that effort. I think everything that most people have in terms of constructive criticism of Jericho Sims is that he's just, he's just not the solution long term. He's processing defensively of the game, and sometimes he bobbles the basketball, and I think he's still very raw, and that's not something that you want to hear from a 26-year-old. Now, he wasn't the reason we lost this game at all, so I think that's quite obvious. But nonetheless, I think his minutes will maybe start to decline, right, if he doesn't pick things up long term. And I'm kind of agreeing on that. So with that said, man, I'm going to go, my grade for Jericho Sims tonight is also going to be a C. Blue Diamond Gem says the team misses iHeart badly. I mean, he's tough to replace, man, but I feel like we got something great with Hukporti. He's young still, he's quite raw in terms of NBA experience, but I think he's going to offer us a lot of the stuff that Isaiah Hartenstein provided. And I just hope Tibbs starts to play the man, sooner rather than later. But these backup minutes, are important because, Cat can pick up foul trouble, and Cat can wear down. I mean, tonight was super physical from Cat in his minutes. AP says, CT AP is out on Tibbs. He's stubborn. No Hukporti, no Pacome. Kolek gets 6 minutes. Yeah, and he gets off to a slow start. Enough already, says AP. Great to hear your thoughts, man. And I think, I think a lot of that is valid. I think we're seeing a lot of things from Tibbs where, we need to see more adjustment. I think end of last season, we ran into a wall with the injuries and the physicality, the toll that it took on our players. And I think it's really important to avoid that again. And how do you do that? By playing more guys. I don't think it's an exact science. I just think you got to expand your rotation a bit. I mean, You sign these guys, you got to believe in them, you got to trust them, even if it's just early. Give them some minutes. I mean, it's kind of just going back on his word because he was open to playing Pacome Daddy against Boston, you know, the reigning champions, right, on the road in a hostile environment. But you're not prepared to play Pacome Daddy against Detroit. You're not prepared to play him against Houston. How is it so? But you're able to play him in Boston. So a lot of these things are just quite puzzling. Um, Steve's point, what happened to Hukporti? It beats me. I thought Hukporti showed enough in that Cleveland game. You know, it's kind of like, not going to say he's going to lose the young player, but it's kind of like the young player is going to be like second guessing a bit in a way. You kind of be like, hey, you gave me a chance. I thought I did okay. And then I'm back to the bench again. It's kind of puzzling a bit. But yeah, there's a PH says Tibbs is mad stubborn, for real. I just think, yeah, that's the perfect word. You said it. I think just stubbornness. And look, as a coach, obviously he has his reasoning, rationale, or whatever. We're not going to hear it, but to me, it just doesn't make sense. Look, I can only hope and expect that Precious Achua is going to get back real soon. Positive reports, guys, that Precious has been making great progress in his rehab, and Precious Achua is going to be able to play, I think, relatively soon. He hasn't been cleared for a practice yet, but I think he's getting very close. So I think maybe after ATL, once we get back to MSG, maybe that's a situation where Precious can get in. Let's bring up the schedule. So we got ATL on Wednesday, and then Milwaukee on Friday, back at MSG. So what are we now? We're Monday night. Yeah, maybe by Friday. Maybe Precious Achua has had a couple of practices. Maybe he's a go for Friday. Maybe Indiana on Sunday. But yeah, I don't think Precious Achua is more than a week away. I think he's getting close, which is good. I think we're going to need his energy, man, his hustle. No doubt about it. I think we really miss Precious on that one. Yeah, Steve, I think questionable decisions with some of the rotation. But look, he clearly likes Tyler Kolek. He's open to playing him now. I think Cameron Payne's out. It's a pretty simple decision to make that you give Tyler those minutes now. So we're going to see a lot more of Tyler Kolek, I feel. And as the season goes, he's going to benefit from all of that experience, which is good because we're going to need him to step in. I think throughout points of the season, even tonight, like a night like where Deuce wasn't shooting the ball well, Kolek steps up and shoots his big three. Those kind of things you love to see from the neophyte. But yeah, just questionable about Dadier, Hukporti. I think those guys deserve some minutes. I think Pacome Dadier has been shooting the basketball really well, and he's taken his opportunities when he's played. So hopefully Tibbs can see the value in that real soon. So with that said, I think big game in against the ATL. But I like today's roster moves. Obviously, Matt Ryan. Let's talk a little bit about him. He's happy to come back home, New York native from White Plains. I think it'll be a non-guaranteed deal, so the Knicks will have that flexibility to cut him or adjust his contract if they need. But hey, he's here now. I think he'll be with the team from tomorrow. I think Matt Ryan, it's been reported first by Shams, Ian Begley now, and Stefan Bondi and the rest of the reporters. So yeah, Matt Ryan is 6'7", 45% three-point shooter. Not known as a defender, but he's 6'7", good positional size, good range, lights out shooter, which you need. You're going to need off the bench. Let's see if Tibbs, puts him ahead of Dadier, or let's see where he falls on the depth chart. But I won't be surprised because I think the Knicks really like him. I won't be surprised if he sees some minutes. PH says Tibbs does not stagger his rotations. It seems like he doesn't care to keep his guys fresh. They played the whole second half. Yep. That's the problem you have with Tibbs. Yeah, a lot of people do, man. I think it's early in the season, so I feel like his reasoning is to try to develop as much chemistry as possible with these guys, but it's also important for me to do a balancing act, and make sure that you're just giving the guys a few quick minutes, even if it's the 2 minute Pacome Dadier stretch to get Josh Hart out the game a little bit. And it's not just from an injury standpoint. It's just so that those guys can be fresh, and give you the best version of themselves. I think you see late in games, Brunson and Hart look gassed, and it can hurt you on the execution front, As tonight we were, falling short, physical game, turnovers, all of those things. So yeah, look, pressure's going to mount on Tom Thibodeau. Definitely, I don't think he's safe beyond a first round exit. If we're a first round exit this season, which I don't think we will be, I'm not trying to put this out in the universe, but I'm just saying I don't think Tibbs would survive like that kind of situation if things were to go south, and so he has to adjust. He has to be better. But like I said, I think this season, he's going to rest on a lot of our depth. And I think the fact that we've added Hukporti to a proper roster spot, that's something that's going, in the right direction. So that's a tick. Bringing in Matt Ryan, let's see what he's got. He's been a 45% shooter. Every team can do with more shooting. So I like that. Precious is getting back healthy soon, so that's a huge tick. Mitch probably by January something. And then you've got hopefully Landry Shamet after him in February, I think. The New York Knicks will be planning to make more moves and add a 15th roster spot, fam, as reported by Keith Smith. As I bring that up once again, I think the key date here to note is that there's enough room for a second veteran minimum guy by February 24th so that we can fill the 15th spot. And that's even without a trade. So we could have Hukporti, Matt Ryan, and someone else, assumably Landry Shamet, by the time February 24 hits. And then we can probably add another second two-way, a third two-way guy on Hukporti's former deal as well. But happy for the man. And so did Josh Hart, tweeted out his support for Ariel Hukporti getting his deal. Rico says we need Matt Ryan to be lights out from three. Yeah, Rico, hopefully we shoot more threes. I think that's really, really important. I think this team has the shooters and we've been shooting at a really good level, as a team tonight. Let me pull up the stats again. Let me pull up these team stats. As a team, we shot another night 40% from three, and the Houston Rockets shot a woeful 24% from three. Man, I'm just noticing that now. That's embarrassing from a perspective where you're shooting double the percentage from three from the other team and you still lose. I mean, you needed to shoot more threes, and you blow this team out of the gym if you shoot more threes, man. That lets me know that our offense is dated right now, And I don't want us to be a Mike D'Antoni, 7 seconds or less. But there's got to be something in between, fam, where you're shooting double the percentage from three over the other team and you still lose by double digits. I mean, it's simple math tonight, fam. We shoot more threes and we win. I just not a great fan of our offense right now. I think it needs to click. It needs to get better. We need to be utilizing our stretchability with Karl Anthony Towns, but look, OG Anunoby tonight did save us early. Yeah, we are tied up against that second apron, fam. But I think, yeah, we can squeeze these 3 guys in. And I think it's going to do a lot better for our depth, especially when Mitch is back, Precious is back, Shamit will be straight into the rotation again, and then, Pacome Dadier becomes situational. Let's see what they do with Jericho Sims and the Hukporti situation up next, right? Because it's definitely something to watch closely, right? Tibbs is going to give Sims that chance, but up until a certain point, But we are probably going to have to lose a few games in a row for a big tweak, I think. But nonetheless, fam, the Knicks take their 3rd L of the season. We're 2-3 now. It's been a mixed start. There's been flashes of brilliance, and then there's been complacency, in my opinion. We weren't ready against Boston, and we weren't ready to start this ball game, I think, tonight either. So we need to come prepared better, and that's on the Tibbs, the leaders, the point guards as well. But there's been some really pleasing signs still. OG Anunoby has been, from pre-season to now, probably the best, most consistent player. Deuce McBride, aside from tonight, but Mikal Bridges has been really good shooting the rock. He's been very versatile. We just need to, really execute better and take advantage of our strengths, I think. Highlight our strengths. Do I think Johnny Bryant leaving has had a difference? I mean, Johnny Bryant gets a lot of rave reviews, so I think maybe a part of him missing, is some kind of a loss. I don't know how much of a loss, but I'm going to say it's definitely been a loss. But let's see what happens, fam, as the season unfolds. But great question, Johnny Bryant, I think, doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, Cleveland are rolling, fam. Absolutely rolling now. Cleveland 8-0 to start the season. So, I mean, one silver lining that we did take a loss to Cleveland. We should have won that game as well. But Cleveland are rolling as well. So you got to take care of these teams that you're better than. There's just no doubt about that. As we move next to these games coming up, man. Big game away to Atlanta, and then we've got Milwaukee, Indiana, and Philly. So, I mean, I'll probably sign up for a split right now. I don't know about you guys, but if we come out of the next 4, ATL, Milwaukee, Indiana, and Philly, if we come out 2-2, I won't be mad at that. I think we should be 3-1. We should be targeting 4-0, 3-1. We're obviously better than Atlanta. I think we're much better than Milwaukee and Indiana. We beat Philly. It all depends who plays as well. But, I mean, we can't take these teams for granted. You got to come out ready. Otherwise, you'll be in an early hole. But Knicks Nation, the season's early. We've got reasons for optimism still. Of course, no doubt about it. The streets are always buzzing. Smash that like button. It's been a great show chopping this up despite the frustrating night and the officiating in this one. But this has been the post game from CT on the solo tonight. And we'll see you soon, everyone. Stay blessed and enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll be back Wednesday night for the post game after the Atlanta game, man. Hopefully we're talking about a 3-3 and 500 on the season again. Let's get it, Knicks Nation. Peace, everyone.